Now I'll go into my PI system and I'll build the interface. Okay, and my PI system, what I'll do that I'll create a new folder. I'll name it as soap to soap. Save it and activate it. Now for consuming this soap web service, what we need to do that we need to have its WSDL imported in our ESR. So in order to fetch the WSDL, what we need to do that you need to first have the resource URL which is provided in the website, and I have to take this one, the demo one. You need to copy paste it here, and after that question mark WSDL. So this is your WSDL which we are going to export from here, and it will be required while creating our ESR object. So you go right click, view page source, and you have to save this WSDL document, and remember, remove this XML tag, and from the second line till the last you have to copy paste it and save it. I have it already saved in my system, so I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to create my ESR objects now. First object is the external definition. You go to the interface objects, and the first thing which you create is the external definition. EDXML football. I'm going to create it, and it will ask for a file. So this is a file which we have already downloaded from the resource, and we are going to open it, save, activate. Once you have the external definition created, you can create the mapping objects now. New mapping objects, message mapping, and here you can give the message mapping name. This is the request message mapping, so I'll be mapping the request structures here to create this. You need to enter the source message here. So go to my software component, and inside my namespace I have this folder, an external definition. From here I need to choose the request structure for my web service which I want to consume. So this is the get all league. No, this is not the one. We need the get all team soap in. So somewhere down here, yes. We'll do the same for the target side. We go to our software component version, namespace, and to the folder where we have this external definition. Inside external definition, you find out that web service which you want to consume, which is get all teams soap in. Good. Once you have this, you are going to map it 1-1 because on both the sides you have the same structure. So I have mapped it as 1-to-1 mapping, and my request mapping is ready. I'm going to activate it. So I'll create the service interface now. First is the outbound service interface, and this is category outbound. Interface pattern is stateless, stateful. So I will give it as stateless, and I'll make it asynchronous. Now this here you need to give the request and response message type because you have selected the synchronous message, synchronous type of interface. What this interface will expect that you'll have a response. So this will be external, and this will be external as well. And again, we are going to get all teams soap in as a request, and soap out as response. So yeah, our service interface is ready. outbound service interface activate now. I'm going to create the inbound service interface now, and this is service interface which is going to hit the API. So it will also have the same structure as that was for as we have configured for the outbound one. The only difference is that in the category it will be inbound, and here we give synchronous message type. Okay. We change the message type to external message. So I have created both of the service interfaces. Now I'll create the operation mapping. So I'm going to close everything, new, and mapping objects, operation mapping. So now I'll pass the service interfaces. So here on the source side I'm going to give the outbound service interface, and on the target side I'm giving the inbound service interface. Now let's try to save it and see what happens. So if you see that this part has changed and we have a request and response. So because our service interfaces were synchronous, we get this request and response tabs. So we have two message mapping for this purpose, where we are going to pass in the request message mapping in the for the request tab and activate the operation mapping. So we do not have any errors, and our ESR object is complete. So we have created everything here, and now we'll go to the ID objects. Okay, now I am inside my integration directory, and I'll create the integration directory objects. For that I have this list of the objects, and I'm going to create it one by one. So I'll start with the folder, and I'll name it as soap to soap. I've created my folder. Now I'll create the sender communication component. So sender communication component will be required for creating the channel. So I'm creating the sender component. I'll go to business components, communication component, and create, activate. If you can see, my sender component is now active. Now I'll go for the receiver component. In the similar fashion, I'll create the receiver component. So my sender and receiver components are ready. Now I will create the communication channel. So this is my sender communication channel. So I'll give the channel name, and I'll select the communication component. So BC soap. It's a sender channel, so I'll select PC soap sender. Now I'm going to select the sender adapter, which is soap. So I have selected the SOAP sender adapter, and in quality of service, if you can see, I have given best effort because we are expecting a response from this web service. There are other processing parameters and quality of service that are exactly once and exactly once in order. We use these two when we don't need a response from the receiver system, but in our case we are expecting a response from receiver, hence best effort is the quality of service which we have opted here. If I go to advanced, we can set the adapter specific message attributes. So I can I have already shown the adapter specific message attributes and how do we use it for file to file scenario. We can do similar configurations here as well, where we can read the dynamic attributes and use it in our message mapping, um, or to create the date and timestamp, file name, etc., etc. I'm not going to show that here. If you want to see the adapter specific message attribute, the use case of this, you can go to my another video where I have created file to file scenario and I have used this option. So I'll save and activate. So I've created the sender communication channel. Now I will create the receiver communication channel. I'll select the adapter. Once I've selected the adapter, I'll change the type to receiver, and here is the target URL. Now for target URL, we need to fill this parameters with the configuration which is shown in the XML Soccer website. So I'll open my POSTMAN, and I'm going to give this as the URL. I'm not going to use anything apart from this, but there are few things which I would like to configure. That is SOAP action. So SOAP action, I'll get it from here, my account. So SOAP action is this. I'll copy paste. I'll go back. I'll put SOAP action here. And what I'm going to do is to save it. I do not have anything else which I would like to configure. So here you have the authentication configuration. You can configure using authentication, configure using certificate authentication and using proxy. So maybe in future I'll post a video where I'll show you how to use certificate authentication in SAP PI, but not right now. Here we are not going to select anything, and if we can see, we use query string, use encoded headers, use keep attachments, keep headers, do not use SOAP. So these are not of our use for this particular case. And what we need to check is the adapter status, and that is active. So I'll save it. I'm going to activate. Once I've activated, I can go ahead and create the ICO. We do not have party and we have sender component, so I'll take the sender component. use the service interface here. So this is the service interface. I'll keep the namespace as it was in the builder object, enterprise builder object. I'm not giving any description, not adding to the scenario. So I've created it, and the communication channel option, I'm going to select this communication component. I will give the receiver communication component. Okay, in the receiver side we have operation mapping, name, namespace. So this is where we are going to put our operation mapping. I'm going to give the receiver interface name here. So receiver interface is this. Namespace. Software component version. This. So it identified the software component version, and we have in the help menu we can see that our operation mapping is now reflecting. So the last part is outbound processing. Outbound processing, I'm going to select the receiver channel, and I have selected it. We do not need any header mapping. We do not need any of these properties to be used. Okay, one thing which I would like to show you is to log your process. So you need to enable these properties, and I'm going to make the property enabled by using store for staging, and also log every time the message is passing through the pipeline steps. So I have enabled the staging part, also the logging part. Now our interface is ready, and we can test it. Okay, once your interface is ready, what happens that we need to give the URL to consume this interface. So as I said, that the sender adapter, the SOAP sender adapter, exposes your interface as a SOAP web service. If a third party wants to consume this web service, you need to give the WSDL or the URL. Using that URL, they are going to hit your system and get the response back. So I'm going to do that, and I need to pass this value here, the URL value, which is this. So if you can see the URL pattern, http:// this is your host and port name, then the XI SOAP adapter, message servlet, and the channel name. So I do not have any party defined here, that's why I'm not giving any name of the party, but I have the business center component and the name of my sender communication channel. So I've copied it here. Yes, let's see what happens if without any header configurations I'm going to just pass the SOAP body. So SOAP body will be this, and I need to configure the authorization. So when I hit this URL, which is the PI URL, it is going to ask for authorization, which will be nothing but my username and password configured. So I'm making this call. It will not be a successful call because I have not configured the header parameters here. If you can see, there is no header parameter. The content type is text plain, so I'm expecting that I'll receive an error. However, in the body, what I'll do that I'll pass the API key. Yeah, if you can see, I've got an error with status code of 500. It means the server could not process this request. So this is what was expected. Let's now change the header parameter and make the content type as text XML. I'll go back here and I will copy paste the text XML cassette is equals to UTF minus 8. Copy paste this. Also, I'm going to pass host as this. So I have got a result, and this is what I have got. So status is 200. It means the post method was successful, and I'm getting a response, but I'm not getting the full response. Let's see what we can do to get the full response. So what is missing here is the SOAP action. Let's see if I pass that, will it help us? Okay, I'll go inside my PI message monitoring and check what is happening. So I went here. There are 2 successful messages. Let's see what we are sending. So change layout. Yes. So center component here is the SOAP receiver. So this is the one which is getting us the response. And I'll download this response. As we can see, the response here is fine, but we are not getting the exact response which we are supposed to get. I have just given this host and content type. Let's disable the host and let's check. So yes, it is working fine, and we are getting the full XML structure which we were getting while we were using SOAP client to directly hit the API. So this is the direct call which we were making earlier, and this is the call which we are making through the interface. So this scenario is complete, and we are getting the expected result. What we try to do, we have achieved it. And apart from this, you have a scope of adding more complexity to any scenario. So I'll leave it up to you to add as many as complexity as possible and share it with me. If you have any problem, if you are facing any other issues with the configuration, definitely write to me. For the resources which I have mentioned, I'll share it in the description box, and I'll try to help you as much as possible with your queries. Thank you.